Good morning. My name is Sister Catherine Marie McCaffrey. I live the 64th Women's Cursillo at St. Philip the Apostle Church in Millersville, PA. I sat grouped at St. James de Curia. In the book by Matthew Kelly titled Rediscover Catholicism, this morning we are going to be looking at chapter 17 called Spiritual Reading. Just the title of the chapter, Spiritual Reading, can mean different things to different people. In looking up on Google and asked what is spiritual reading, it mentioned more of psychic readers, mediums, or being clairvoyant, which means clear vision, alleged ability to gain information about an object, person, location, or physical event through extrasensory perception. I knew this wasn't the answer I wanted to find, so I changed my question and asked Google, what is Catholic spiritual reading? It said, spiritual reading is devoted to the reading of lives of the saints, writings of doctors and fathers of the church, theological works written by holy people, and doctrinal writings of church authorities. This was a much better question to ask on Google. Matthew Kelly states, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body, and prayer is to the soul. The goal of spiritual reading is to ignite the soul with a desire to grow in virtue and become the best version of oneself. Spiritual reading seeks to encourage us to live a life of holiness. The reading of the scriptures, both the New and Old Testament, are at the top of the list. The New Testament, especially the four Gospels, is read more because it gives us the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. According to Matthew Kelly, the Old Testament can also be very valuable as a source of spiritual reading, though some books are harder to draw nourishment from than others. In books such as the Psalms and Proverbs, our hearts are easily stirred to live a better life and to strive for virtue through our relationships with God, neighbor, and self. The historical and prophetic books require more preparation if we are to understand the culture and context in which they were written and their intended message. Some of the sisters said spiritual reading gives them more insight to develop their soul. They become more motivated. Spiritual reading touches the heart. There are many spiritual writers or mentors who give us a variety of good choices to help us in becoming holy. In their writings, you will hear a call to become a better person. You will feel inspired and challenged to change, grow, and become the best version of yourself as you read their words. Some spiritual writers, if you let them into your life, they will reveal your defects for you with great discretion and kindness. They reveal your weaknesses by calling you to self-examination. They then encourage you to make generous resolutions. They lead you into divine cooperation with the Holy Spirit. They will also teach you how to maximize the impact and influence your strengths. In my own life over the last few years, one of the areas I began reading are the lives of the saints. When you read their lives, you see how many of them have had weaknesses and how they worked hard on overcoming them. The saints' lives help you to also see their deep-seated strength and help you see the strengths you also have within you. Many of us are aware of people who have left the Catholic Church for one reason or another. It is up to us to reach out to these people to bring them back. In our spiritual reading, it would be good to know what the issues are, like abortion, contraception, and divorce. To grow in faith and identify the teachings of the Catholic Church that you find most difficult to understand yourself and accept, then read about it. Study that issue. Get yourself a catechism and read what it says. And look up at the source text, find other books that explain why the church teaches what it teaches about that issue and get to the heart of the matter. The more we know the why on these issues, the more we will be able to explain it to those who have fallen away and hopefully bring them back to the church. We need to get ourselves into a routine, even 15 minutes a day of spiritual reading. If 15 minutes seems too long, do 5 minutes a day and work up to the 15 minutes a day. If something strikes you while you're reading it, stay with it. It could be that which will make you become the best version of yourself. One of the challenges of the Catholic Church is in the area of adult education. More and more Catholics have decided not to send their children to Catholic schools or religious education programs. All this is having a devastating effect on future generations. According to Matthew Kelly, we could dream up all types of elaborate education programs, but my proposal is that we encourage Catholic adults to read good spiritual books. We cannot make up for lost ground overnight, but 15 minutes a day is as good as any place to start. Spiritual reading is a perfect example of an ancient solution to a modern problem. If every Catholic were to read a good Catholic book for 15 minutes a day, this habit could be a game changer for the church in our times. Rome wasn't built in a day. Most great things are achieved little by little. Many of the sisters for their spiritual reading and meditation use the word among us, give us this day, the living faith, or the Magnificat. Spiritual reading is a great tool to help us keep the great spiritual North Star in light. Spiritual reading becomes a beacon of light when we can view everything in relation to our call to become the best version of ourselves. Everything finds meaning. Whether we are spending time with friends or being with our family, we need to challenge one another to grow, so we can grow and constantly be the best version of ourselves and help others to be the best version of their own self. When we look at adult education in the past 10 years since this edition of Matthew Kelly's book was written, I do see a growth in many parishes where they have Advent and Lenten programs for adults as well as the youth. And there are also many parishes where they have Bible study groups which are open to anyone, and it's a great help in this society for adult education. Dei Gloris.
Dei Gloris.